a grip on supply chain visibility. Abe Eshkenazi is CEO of ASCM. Hi, Abe.
Good morning, Robert. How are you?
Good. Thanks for being with me today.
All
Abe,
this.
give me an overview of the current state of supply chain visibility, especially in light of the post-pandemic era and ongoing geopolitical challenges.
Yeah, a really great issue that we're dealing with here. Three major gaps were identified in the pandemic, post-pandemic: visibility, transparency, and traceability. The visibility part was a significant issue for a lot of organizations where a number of disruptions occurred in tier two, tier three, and beyond, well beyond their tier one partners. Most organizations had visibility into their tier one partners, very, well-established, larger organizations, much less so as the extended supply chain went further down the line. And it was clear that most of the disruptions occurred in tier two and beyond, not in our tier one suppliers.
Mhm.
And so during the past 3 years, supply chain professionals have worked really hard to identify all the players and activities within the supply chain. I think as we sit here today, I think a qualified supply chain professional can no longer walk into the C-suite and say, I don't know who or what is in my supply chain. So that's good news.
Yeah,
The bad news is that we now know all the players and all the activities in our supply chain. And what we're finding is that we're maybe not as resilient, sustainable as we believed that we were. And we're finding that there are a lot of gaps within our system right now that created a lot of the challenges in the disruption from the pandemic, as well as a lot of the geopolitical issues and climate change, as well as the Red Sea issues subsequent to that. Visibility was a huge part of it. The transparency and traceability is still a little bit further down the line.
yeah. Well, visibility, transparency, and traceability all sound like three words for visibility to me. I mean,
Oh,
visibility is underlying all three of those. And I guess
yeah.
to a certain extent, companies are finding out that they never had visibility beyond tier one or two. And this is, I guess, served the silver lining is that it served to, to inform them that that indeed was the case. Okay, so how has this actually impacted organizations in terms of how they've been able to serve their customers, how they've been able to manage inventory, how they've been able to manage costs and be efficient? I take it it's had a devastating impact on it, this type of lack of visibility.
Yeah, it's a couple of things. I mean, they've worked very hard to identify all the activities. And I think what we're finding is that in order to ensure that you're getting relevant, timely data and accurate information so that you can forecast appropriately to the demand signals in the marketplace right now, that you need to align all your partners. I think we're all very familiar with the SCORE model of the plan, source, make, deliver, that very linear process.
Mhm.
In today's market, it's a much more integrated digital network of partners and suppliers and the various organizations in your supply chain right now. Everybody's interconnected right now. The challenge is that as you go further down the line, the capability and the resources and the talent side of the tier two and beyond is not as sophisticated as your major suppliers.
Yeah.
Generally, small and medium-sized organizations that don't have the resource to invest in the technology that would be necessary. But it's interesting, our top trends report that we issued indicating that the top three trends are all about technology: digital supply chains, digital, big data and analytics, artificial intelligence, and machine learning. It's all focused on this digital transformation that organizations are trying to implement to gain that visibility and that information, the data necessary, so that they can balance their supply to the demand signals.
Okay, so some of that technology is still in development. To what extent are these solutions available right now that if only they were to be adopted by companies, they would, if not solve the visibility problem completely, at least go a long way toward that end?
Yeah, I think that's the holy grail that every organization is hoping for, is that their digital transformation will enable them to get that timely, accurate, relevant information. Obviously, you need to assess your current capabilities within your organization, as well as the capabilities of your partners. And I think this is where maybe we are, moving a little bit too fast with a lot of the technology. We are exposing the organization to a lot of ransomware, cyber attacks, and exposure to additional risk as they implement their digital transformation. As we had just discussed, a lot of the smaller, medium-sized organizations don't have the capabilities or the same sophistication. And so they're creating vulnerabilities for the prime organization where ransomware or cyber attacks can come in. Obviously, one of the other areas that we want to impress upon companies is it's just not about technology, it's about the talent that understands the data that's coming in and coming out of the systems, that you need to invest in your talent at the same level that you're investing in your technology.
Yeah. Still that issue for a moment of technology, to stick with that for a second. Is artificial intelligence the magic bullet? Is it the solution to everything?
I think in using a little bit of heuristics, I think we tend to overestimate the impact of technology in the short term and underestimate it in the long term. AI is a hot topic right now for a lot of organizations because of the amount of data and the resources and the capabilities that it has to provide predictive analytics. Supply chain professionals have been early adopters on technology. I think anything that can enable them to be much more accurate in terms of their forecasting and in terms of their planning and their production schedules is a key for their efficiency and their effectiveness. Obviously, AI has been a part of supply chains for a long time. I mean, forecasting, we've used predictive analytics for quite a while. We may not have called it artificial intelligence at the time, but supply chains have been early adopters of technology. I think the challenge that we have right now is that the investment in technology is going at warp speed right now for a lot of organizations, and trying to coordinate all the players within your system, as well as having the appropriate individuals in your system that can critically evaluate the data, I think is a huge challenge for a lot of organizations right now.
Back to the talent issue. You're talking about people who are skilled in handling AI. So you're looking for people coming out of university programs, looking for people who have a set of skills that maybe wasn't required so much in supply chain management in years past.
Interesting point. I think it used to be that subject matter expertise or functional knowledge was sufficient for supply chain professionals today. Now that's the price of entry. Now you're looking at collaboration. Now you're looking at communication and coordinating an extraordinarily extended supply chain, where predominantly you worked with maybe one or two suppliers in the past to ensure that you have good alignment. Now organizations are forcing their the supply chain professional into the C-suite. For a number of years, we indicated that the path to leadership within an organization was through supply chain. Now we have a seat at the table for supply chain professionals. Now they need to use their voice. Now they need to ensure that they're collaborating with their compliance officer, with their chief sustainability officer, with the chief financial officer, to ensure that they have a very cohesive plan and that the organization is aligned on their investments as well as their outcomes.
Internal collaboration to be sure, but what about external? Do you think that all these various tiers of the supply chain are equally willing and able to cooperate to provide the necessary data that serves as the underpinning of visibility?
I think we're still a little bit short from there. I think that's still a desired end state, is that we do have complete alignment and accurate, relevant, timely data in which to forecast. And I think this is where we're seeing that time horizons have shrunk significantly because of the risk associated with making long-term bets. So time horizons have shrunk. Forecasts have become much more conservative. Inventories have increased to buffer against disruptions in their entire supply chain. I think we're seeing a confluence of issues, and I think this is where supply chain professionals are really stepping up and identifying their role responsibility much greater than what they originally joined their jobs for. So now we've got compliance, now we've got sustainability, now we've got a whole host of different responsibilities in supply chain that we didn't necessarily train the individuals for, but accepting that responsibility, they are stepping up.
And we've got solutions that are on the table right now in the terms of technology in its current state. But look into the future for me a little bit, Abe, and years ahead. How do you see this as playing out in terms of new and innovative types of solutions and the prospect for true end-to-end visibility in global supply chains?
Yeah, I think the potential of AI, machine learning, predictive analytics, is really at the forefront of organizations. There are very few organizations that are not investing in their digital transformation today. Our hope is that as they invest in their technology, they're investing in their talent so that you can maximize the relevancy and the value of your technology. A couple of studies that were done about the talent, where are we overweighted and where are we underweighted? We're overweighted in technology and analytics. That means that it's much more powerful than we're using the system for. We're underweighted in critical thinking and real world experience. Put those data points together, you've got very powerful systems with individuals that can't critically evaluate the information coming in and out. That's not a good combination. So we need to ensure that you are investing in your talent to make sure that you're maximizing the investment in your technology. There are very few organizations that you can't get money for technology today. If I ask an organization what's their number one asset, I'm hopeful they'll say their talent. Let's make sure that they're investing in their talent at the same level that they're investing in their technology.
These topics we've just been talking about for the last few minutes are going to be front and center at the next ASCM annual conference. Can you give us some details on that, Abe?
Yeah, absolutely. I think this is the largest gathering of supply chain professionals where you get an opportunity not only to exchange information, but to learn from others that have already done and, in some respects, been successful, in other respects, been unsuccessful in their activities. And not only in the networking opportunities, but we've got some great keynote speakers as well to provide some insight in terms of how supply chain is really reshaping the world and the impact that it has on consumers, on patients alike across the globe. I can't think of a more important time for individuals to get together. We're all in our offices, we're all heads down. This is an opportunity for individuals to gather and to identify how we can, collectively move this industry forward and really recognize the true potential of supply chain to make a difference in the world.
Location and date, please.
Oh, it's in Austin, Texas this year on September 9th, 10th, and 11th. I hope to see everybody there.
We're all looking forward to it. Abe Eshkenazi of the ASCM, Association of Supply Chain Management. Thank you so much for painting that very frank picture of the challenges we face in achieving end-to-end supply chain visibility and some of the solutions available to make that happen. Thank you very much for your time.
My pleasure, Robert. All the best.